This was supposed to be a simple CEX browse. I was looking for GameCube games, but stumbled into the Nintendo Switch section, and I found some interesting titles. I'm trying to get 100 specific Nintendo Switch titles to add to my collection of 200. Was there anything worth picking up? Let's have a look, shall we? First up, we go to Game, and I hate going to Game where you've got to trudge all the way through Sports Direct for it. It's just so out of the way. I actually forget that Game actually exists half the time. A bunch of on-sale titles, which I mean they're about 50% more expensive than 20% off. Funko Pops, the sign of an aging or business on the end of collapse. Funko Pops and Switch games, and there's nothing really too exciting here. There's a few titles here and there that it's just kind of the stuff that you've seen time and time again. That Farm Major I know I've seen that reduced down like on clearance at some point recently, but it's not one that I kind of am interested in. House Flipper Pets. I liked House Flipper on the PC. I haven't played the Pets edition though. I know House Flipper 2 existed, but I haven't picked it up yet. The reason being is I saw it for £20 on PlayStation at one point. There was a lot of coding boxes here, and I mean a lot of them, and they kind of have them mixed among with everything else, so it might be coding box and then just like normal stuff, which kind of annoys us. I kind of wish they would put them to one side. Some nice cheap Pokemon controllers if you're in the market for a Pokemon controller, a good one. But everything else was just your usual stuff that you've seen everywhere else and is probably cheaper than everywhere else. It's a shame that games kind of came at what it is. Railway Empire 2 is one that I actually want on my list and actually wasn't a bad price, to be honest. It was slightly cheaper online, so I'll probably just get it there, to be honest. Moving into Sunderland CEX, and honestly, I don't actually go to Sunderland that often, despite it being fairly accessible for me. And yeah, they've got a decent selection of GameCube games here. A lot of Player's Choice ones, if you're after them, including stuff like Finding Nemo. Wow, Finding Nemo, such a game. They had one such as Medal of Honor Frontline, which is one that I do need to get for my collection of, replacing boxes. I was tempted to get this one, but then I was like, I know it's £5, but I want to get the nicer one. The one with the proper cover on. I'm not huge on Player's Choice. Puzzle Quest. I've never seen this game before, and it was sandwiched between two Pictionary games, which, yeah, that was, I don't know, I found that interesting. Anything with an anime cover on always kind of jumps out at me, especially when it's kind of older series such as like the Wii and GameCube. Not really looking for anything at the moment on PlayStation, so we'll go straight to the Nintendo Switch section. And honestly, this was a very, very nice selection. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. Now, I've seen these enough that I can probably justify buying these whenever I want online. They're always cheaper to buy Pokemon games online for somehow. But yeah, the selection for this one is actually quite nice, and it's also Switch and Switch 2 now. It's not just Switch 1, which I think in the near future is going to be a little bit confusing. Cadence of Hyrule, and yeah, this is an interesting title. This is a rhythm-based Nintendo Zelda game, and yeah, it's a spin-off to Crypt of the Necrodancer. Cadence of Hyrule is a 2019 rhythm game crossing over The Legend of Zelda and Crypt of the Necrodancer. Now, the base game has you play as Link, Zelda or Cadence to defeat Octavio, who has taken over the Kingdom of Hyrule. While the game is fairly short, it makes up for it with multiple character playthroughs, randomised chest placement and an absolutely banging soundtrack. It's also worth mentioning that the physical version includes all of the previously released DLC. A very interesting title indeed. Moving along, we've got stuff like Donkey Kong, FIFA, Skyrim. Skyrim seems a little bit cheaper. I think that's been dropped down a little bit. A few others, Kirby. I do want to get the new Kirby for the Switch 2. They had this as well. Join Keys. Or is it Kaze? As in the toilet? Never mind, this is a 90s inspired platformer in which you play as Kaze, whom has to save her friend via platform and action. Metacritic seems fairly favourable on this one, and it seems to have quite a niche following. A lot of people likening it to Donkey Kong Country, so if you want to itch that spot, it may be worth looking into. Another title in the top left corner is Gal Metal. I played Gal Metal a while ago and I was not a fan of it, but I'm no good at rhythm games. Everything else, there's a lot of familiar stuff. Man-Eater though. Man-Eater, yeah, this is an exceptional title. Man-Eater is a 2020 game in which you play as a baby shark, and eventually evolve your way up to being the king of the depths. This is one I played back on the PlayStation 4. It's dumb fun and just one of those games that brings a smile to your face. Assuming you enjoy playing as a shark, biting and killing everything in your way, that is. But if a game doesn't put a smile on your face, then it's not really doing its job, is it? Honestly, for the price this one goes for, especially on the PlayStation, it's worth a play. Super fun, super easy. A real good treat. Nothing else really jumping out at me. I probably should have looked at that Stanley Parable one. It doesn't have the trophy list on, so you don't have to wait a year to play the game. Another anime-based game, this was Root Letter. I'm sure I had Root Letter on the PlayStation Vita, which I sold. I never played it, but I remember buying it because it was an anime game. Again, your usual, your Pokemon, but we've got Puyo Puyo Tetris, another one that I've seen many times and I haven't yet picked up. It is on the list along with Tetris 2, but I haven't yet picked it up. Pord. Never heard of this one before. Pord is a 2018 cooperative puzzle indie game about a rock and a fallen star working together to solve ancient puzzles. This one looks pretty good, but I don't really get much co-op gaming done if I'm honest. It's got decent reviews, with the only negative one relating to the user playing on a Switch Lite, and there aren't a huge amount of listens for this one, and any soul listens seem to relate to an artist version of the game instead of the normal one. Should this be in my collection? Let me know. Never heard of it, so I can't just justify it. Neon White, again, this is another one I see all the time. I think it's always £10 on Game Collection, so I'm going to go there. I like getting the little points through Game Collection to get money off my future orders. Batman Arkham series is not good on Switch. Not good at all. Their retro section is pretty nice. They had a few nice PlayStation 1 games. I do need to get that Final Fantasy Origins, and they had XCOM on the PS1, which is not something you see too often. Fire Emblem on the GameCube. And we also had both Zelda and Humans in Game Boy and Game Boy Color respectively. Rule of Rose, a very CEX game. N64 is slim pickings, just your usual suspects, nothing too exciting. I want to try and get more N64 games, but I kind of feel like I'm a little bit of a wall through it at the moment. Back from CEX, and I have picked up an interesting title today, and that title is, well, it's a forgotten Zelda game. That's right, a Zelda game for the Nintendo Switch that I can guarantee a lot of you will either not know about or have forgotten existed. And that title is Cadence of Hyrule. Is it Cadence? Is it Cadence? Cadence of Hyrule. This is a 2019 spin-off to Crypt of the Necrodancer, and it's one that I actually picked up back in 2019, but you know me, as time goes on, I'm trying to convert everything to physical, and to be honest, I did find that this Cadence of Hyrule was fairly expensive when it first came out, so having the DLC on the cart as well, that made things all the more sweeter. This is an interesting title because it is a rhythm-based game. Now, I'm going to be honest, I am rubbish at rhythm-based games. I have absolutely no rhythm whatsoever, which is going to come back to haunt me with another game that I have managed to acquire. But this is a Zelda-themed one, and I know I had a good time for it back in 2019. It's been about 6 years since it released, and you know what? I'm fancying another playthrough. And with having the DLC, this is definitely one that I'm looking forward to at least trying out. But let's talk about my journey today. I went to Sunderland CEX, and honestly, I always have a good time when I go there. The quality of their games is pretty good. I've actually traded stuff in there before, and they are quite picky in what they take. I've had stuff where they rejected it, and just because like there was a hair on the disc, or like I think it was like a map or something had like a little crease in, or it was like a little bit folded, and I was like, while they were a bit over the top, I was also kind of like, yeah, I kind of understand that, because when I'm now looking into buying stuff, I'm being a little bit more picky. I mean, they had Humans on the Game Boy, which looked absolutely pristine. Even the Zelda Oracle of Seasons looked absolutely pristine, but I know I've got that in storage somewhere. Humans, I was tempted with it. I'd already kind of clocked Zelda at this point, so I was like,
I'm going to buy Cadence of Hyrule. But that Humans game, I don't know anything about it. It was a little bit expensive for me to go in blind, but we don't see Game Boy games very often boxed and in that quality. So I am very tempted to go back and have a look at them again. Even the PlayStation 1 section and the GameCube section was pretty stocked. I will go more into it in a future video for when we're doing GameCube Quest, but they had a lot of Player's Choice stuff. Obviously Retro Ghetto hadn't made his way up to Sunderland yet, because there was plenty of titles there which were all Player's Choice, and I did pick up one. We'll go back into that in another video, just because there's a lot of GameCube pickups coming very shortly. But yeah, CEX in Sunderland was quite surprising. They had a lot of titles that I didn't expect. They had, I nearly picked up Puyo Puyo Tetris as well. I know that one is on the list. I see it so many times though, so I kind of want to get maybe Puyo Puyo Tetris 1 and 2, or maybe get, I don't know, that's another one that's on the list. I also went into Game. And Game was interesting because the one in Newcastle is shutting down, so it's not really had any stock. This one did have stock, but again, I can't remember the last time I actually bought a game from Game, which is quite bad. The choice was okay-ish. They didn't really have anything I was after. The only one I wanted was that Railroad Empire 2, which is on the list. But at that point I hadn't went to CEX, I hadn't went to anywhere else, so I was like, oh, I'll come back to it. I bought Cadence and I had my eyes on the Humans, and I was just like, I'm gonna hold back. It was about the same price online anyway, so I'm not really too fussed. I can now buy it online if I want to. But yeah, that's right up my alley. That is a game that I would absolutely love to play. So when I came back, I had a multitude of titles that had arrived that I'd ordered over the course of the last few weeks, and they were all titles that I'd been meaning to pick up. Another rhythm game, this time a twist though. This is a PlayStation franchise, that's right, but it's on the Nintendo Switch. That's right, Patapon 1 and 2 Replay. Now, this is a Sony title that Bandai Namco are publishing to get onto modern systems. I don't know if this actually got a PlayStation release. I'll look that up and I'll put that on the bottom, but yeah, this is on the Nintendo Switch. This is basically, you have your little creatures and you've got to like do rhythm stuff to have them battle and conquer everything else. If nothing else, if you're somewhat interested in the title, check out Inugami Koronia's video, because she did a stream on it a few weeks ago, and it is the most energetic thing I have ever seen someone playing a game. The next one is based on a manga anime that I actually really like, and this is Spy X Anya, or Spy Anya Operation Memories. Now, we are getting a little bit of a few titles where it's basically adapted from an anime, but you kind of just play it as a kid being a kid in the world, and this is kind of what it is. Anya, a telepath. So basically, Spy Family, if you don't already know, Spy Family is a family where the dad's a spy, the mom's an assassin, the child's a telepath, and the dog can tell the future. And they're all together as a family for their own circumstances to basically save the world. And yeah, the Anya is a telepath. She can read the minds of her mother and father and everybody else, and she's going to this prestigious academy in order to befriend the child of basically the Prime Minister, to try and save the world, because the Prime Minister's been up to dodgy things. Basically, that's kind of a very brief synopsis. But yeah, Anya is a really fun character. She's over the top, she's ridiculous. If you've seen any memes from it, you kind of have an idea of what we're going on here. And this is basically just Anya having day-to-day lives. It's a really interesting concept. She's basically Operation Memories. She's kind of on summer holiday and she's got to go to different places and make memories. There's not much to it. It's kind of like a mini game mixed in with a few other things on top. I've enjoyed what I've played so far. There's not really much to it, but it's kind of one of those games where it's a little bit charming, it's a little bit fun, but yeah, it's an interesting one that I'm going to try and give a little bit more time with. And the other title I picked up is in the same vein as Spy Anya, and this is Shin-Chan, Shiro and the Cold Town. Now, Shin-Chan was a title that I used to watch years ago on Fox Kids, and it's basically about a kid being a kid, but he's kind of perverted and runs around with his butt out. That's kind of all I remember. I haven't watched much of it since, but I heard nothing but good things about the first one of these, and Shin-Chan and me and the Professor on vacation. This again is just another one. Shin-Chan's on vacation with his family and he discovers the coal town, but it's also mixed in with, like, you know, catching bugs and going fishing and you know the kind of stuff, like, you know, these Animal Crossing style things where there's not really much to the game, but it's just really charming and nice. I did start this one, but it seemed pretty apparent that you need to have played the first one, at least in my opinion. That is on my list of titles to pick up, but it is import only. This one got a UK release, the first one hasn't, so that is one I'm going to have to pick up. Now, this one, Spy Family and Patapon, aren't on the list simply because I ordered them before the list was created. But yeah, it's always nice to pick up a few titles that you weren't looking for, and all of these titles are ones that I'm gonna enjoy playing. So yeah, a nice collection of titles this week. Cadence of Hyrule, Shiro and the Cold Town, Shin-Chan, Spy Family, and Patapon. 2 rhythm games, 2 children collecting bugs games, I suppose. And yeah, that's what I love about the Nintendo Switch. There is a nice variation of the games you can pick up. Everybody's collection is going to be different. There's a lot of fantastic titles out there which you guys might not have picked up on, but they are worth checking out. So, Cadence of Hyrule is on my list, so we can go get that one crossed off and start looking towards the future and see what else we can get next. There are so many Nintendo Switch games out there and I want them in my collection. So if you like this, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It's free, it really helps out, and let me know in the comments what Nintendo Switch games you are looking for. See you then.